Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and today I will be telling you about the books that I read in the first half of June. So this wrap-up is going to be very new release heavy, just because I got so many arcs at Book Expo and Y'all West that I really wanted to get to, and I've been getting to the ones that I'm like the most excited about, and the ones that are coming out the soonest. First, I will tell you about the ones that are not new releases that I read so far this month. So first I read Karen Memory by Elizabeth Bear, and this takes place in an alternate sort of Wild West setting. It follows a girl named Karen who works in a brothel doing exactly what most people do in brothels, I guess, and basically she and her friends have to stop a dude from spreading cholera to like the entire population, basically, and so there's a bunch of action and stuff, and the best thing about this book is that Karen's love interest is a girl, and she's an Indian girl no less, and she's pretty badass. Like, they're both really badass ladies, and her interest in this other girl is completely not treated as a taboo, like, weird thing at all. It's treated as perfectly normal, which I just love seeing, and the fact that an alternate reality story does that, it's pretty amazing. So Karen just openly admits in internal monologue that she wants to get into her bloomers, or that she'll say, like, I wanted to kiss her, and all kinds of stuff. Like, it's completely, like, not weird for her at all to be interested in a girl, and I just loved that about this book. The other backlist title that I read this month is Dream Snake, and this is about a girl named Snake who is a healer, and she has these 3 snakes that she heals people with, but at the beginning of the book, the snake that is her dream snake that she can do the most, like, healing stuff with is killed by just some people who are like, oh shoot, a snake! It's going near my child! And they kill it, and she's like, dude, what the hell did you do? So, she basically has to go off in search of a new one, and a new dream snake, and she encounters a lot of other people along the way, etc. So the concept of this book was very, very interesting and very unique, but I felt like the stuff that kind of happened to her along the way was very serial, and just like we weren't given enough time with any of the other characters to empathize with like what was happening to them, really. But it was a good book. I would recommend it, but I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it. Also, trigger warnings for child rape. I mean, it doesn't happen on the page, but like I feel like every time there's child rape, I should just tell you. Now we're getting to the new releases that I read in the first half of this month. 3 of these are from BEA, 1 is from Y'all West. First, I will talk about Rule by Ellen Goodlett. This is billed as 3 Dark Crowns meets Pretty Little Liars. It's about 3 girls who don't know that they're half-sisters and daughters of the king until one day the king summons them all from their various reaches in the kingdom. And says, so I'm dying, my son was killed, so one of you guys has to be the heir, but you have to basically compete, and whoever shows the most kind of aptitude for like ruling the kingdom will get to be the heir. Each come from completely separate parts of the kingdom, in very different home environments from each other. Their feelings about being there and having to compete for the throne are all completely different from each other. And best of all, they are each harboring a terrible, terrible secret that could get them killed or worse, or exiled or something. So I was expecting each of their secrets to kind of be like something kind of just, oh no, she used a forbidden magic or something like that, but they were actually like really terrible. Like if the king found out, that would be really bad. So then basically throughout their time there, they are each being blackmailed by somebody, they don't know who, and somebody knows their secrets and is blackmailing them to leave the kingdom and not compete for the throne anymore. Really loved this book. I thought it was so good. The best thing about it, again, is the female-female romance in this. There are 2 ladies who fall in love, and that is really the only relationship subplot that we get. So the fact that the only relationship subplot in this is between 2 women, I was so happy about that. And not enough people are talking about that aspect of it, so definitely, if you like 2 women falling in love, you should definitely check out this book. The only thing that I didn't like about it as much is the fact that the magic system was a little bit messy. I mean, it was very unique, but at the same time, the parameters kind of that magic system were not clearly defined at all, so I found myself being very confused through. Other than that, this was a really, really good book, and I highly recommend it. It comes out in September. Next, I also read Here to Stay by Sara Farizan, and this was also one of my most anticipated books of the year, because Sara Farizan is definitely my favorite contemporary author, and pretty much one of my favorite authors overall. I loved both of her previous books, and so I was very looking forward to reading this. So this is about a boy named Bijan who goes to a fancy private school, and one day somebody anonymously emails a photoshopped picture of his face on like a terrorist photo and sends it to the whole student body. And so basically it's a hate incident that goes around the whole school. And so it has the kind of hard-hitting relevance of like The Hate U Give or Dear Martin, except that it is it's not someone getting shot, so the whole city doesn't get involved. It just stays a school-wide problem, but it still very much has so many good quotes about what it's like to be a person of color, and especially in today's world, this is a very timely book where, I mean, we know a lot of people of color were told, like, go back to your country, meh, 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 when it's like, dude, I was born here. This is my country. Come on. And especially what Middle Eastern Americans are facing and whatnot. So this is such an incredible book that everyone seriously needs to read. We'll definitely be putting a full review up on this up on release day. It comes out in September. Also, it is very diverse. Bijan is half Persian, half Arab, and his best friend is half Japanese and has two moms. And it is actually really incredible to me how many YA books are coming out like recently that have had like someone with two moms, or someone whose parent has two moms, or something like that. It's like really cool to see. And then also there are two queer main characters who are major characters in this who get together, and also Bijan's love interest is a black girl, and so many incredible things about this book, and you can look forward to my review. I also read Mammoth. This was actually the first arc that I got at BEA. On the first day, it was the only arc that I got, so I actually finished it the next day, and it was so good. It is about a girl named Natalie who wants to be a paleontologist, and she gets an internship at a dig site, at a university's dig site, and she's also a plus-sized fashionista with a blog, and she makes her own clothes, the whole deal. And when she gets to this internship, she realizes how much of a man's world it is when her idol, her favorite paleontologist, like steals her work, the credit for her work, and it's just a really crappy situation. There are so many amazing things about this book. The plus size rep was very interesting. Like, it had all kinds of things about how people like assume like she gets the same amount of food as like somebody else, and people will be like, is that all you're eating? And basically like making judgments based on her size, and it's like really weird. All kinds of stuff. And then how she, like, the love subplot was really good in that it kind of deals with the fact that someone liking her that she actually likes is like is a new thing to her. So when he likes another girl as well, she's all upset, all kinds of stuff. So it is a very interesting book. I highly recommend it. And finally, the last arc I'm going to talk about is one that I got at Y'all West, and this is already out, so you can go and read it. It is Always Never Yours by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. This follows a girl named Megan who is in high school. She wants to be a theater director, so she wants to go to this fancy college for theater, and it seems kind of based on the university that I first went to for my first year before I decided not to major in theater, but it's also like not the same at all. It's completely fictional. She actually has never acted. She's just been a director, but she has to act. There is an acting requirement to get into that school. So she tries out for Romeo and Juliet, and she actually gets cast as Juliet, and she's like, oh crap, what do I do? She has had several boyfriends, but every single one kind of, while they're dating her, they sort of meet someone else they like more, so they break up with her, and that's how every single relationship she's had has ended. And one day she makes friends with this guy named Owen, and then that blossoms into something more. So it's a really awesome story about friendship that like becomes a relationship. And also I loved how many theater references there were in this. Megan is such a funny character as well. I do love the fact that Megan had already had sex before this book started, because And I love how many YA books we're seeing that have that, because I feel like before there used to be so many where, like, no matter what the genre, kind of, like, most YA novels were about someone who had never had sex before or whatever, but, and this really stepped out of the whole formulaic, like, oh, but I've never had a friend in my whole life. I've never had a boyfriend, blah-de-blah. When instead her dilemma is that she's never had a relationship that lasted because every guy decides, oh, well, I like someone else more. So she kind of doesn't know, she doesn't get attached to anyone anymore. And then there's also a discussion of, like, somebody else kind of snags a dude that she's dating, like, in her typical, like, way that every relationship she has kind of ends. And that girl's argument is, well, you've had, like, 7 boyfriends. Why can't I have a guy I like, too? And instead of you having him. And and Megan's argument is, hey, so just because I've had multiple relationships means that mine don't matter as much? Like, what's your deal? Basically, like, you still knew that he was dating me when you hooked up with him, etc., etc. So, also, there is a lot of cheating in this book that gets, you know, consequences are faced for it. So I thought that was beautiful, because I feel like a lot of times when we see cheating going on in YA, it's kind of just like no one really faces real consequences for it. But in this, there really is. I would highly recommend this book. It's very awesome. So those are the books that I read in the first half of the month of June. Let me know if you've read any of these, what your thoughts are, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!